Everybody, whether you're the president of a company or the paper boy, everybody has the exact same amount of time. You and I both have 24 hours a day. No more, no less. The question is, what do you do with your time?
Three, two, one. Welcome to the Zbooks Successful Authors Podcast. And today I have with me the founder of Authors Unite, the master of the launch, the James Bond of self-publishing. Please help me welcome Tyler Wagner. Hi, Tyler. How you doing?
Hey, Eric. Thanks for having me on, brother. I appreciate it.
Oh, not bad, not bad. Yeah, it's always good to hear you. And man, you've been up to a lot since we talked last time. You've been really 10xing it. How's your business and Authors Unite going?
Business is going very well, man, and we're expanding into like a full-blown media company, which is really cool. And I have a podcast now as well, so that's really fun. Yeah, just enjoying it, man. Just mixing like fun and business together seems to be a nice blend, and then it helps expand it as well when you enjoy what you do.
So what's changed since we talked last, like with your launch methods or something?
What's changed? I think so. We've added a lot more, right? So, like, obviously, as you know, and I'm sure some of your listeners know, like, getting to be a bestseller on Amazon is really just like one part of the equation. But it's like, what do you actually do with the book, and then what do you actually do to continue it, staying at the top of the charts? So, some things we've added are Amazon advertising. We never, like a year ago or before that, we didn't used to do any Amazon ads. Now we do those. And that just helps to keep consistent book sales coming every month. And then another thing that we've added is like book funnels and like sales funnels for our clients. A lot of them are nonfiction. So we actually like build we call it a free book funnel to generate leads.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so we offer, it's up to the client, but we recommend actually offering a full free PDF of the book for free, and a lot of people are hesitant of that, and due to the fact that they spend a lot of time writing the book, and then to give it away for free is like crazy to them. But what's interesting is like what I always say is, first off, that reading a PDF is not that pleasurable of an experience. So if you give away your free PDF, what we do is they come through the homepage, give away a free PDF copy of the book. Then on the thank you page, it says, hey, thanks for grabbing your free PDF copy. Hope you enjoy it. Now follow steps 1 and 2. Step 1 is join the Facebook community. So like a lot of people will build Facebook communities based off their book and their business.
Right.
And then step 2 is if you'd like to check out the book, the paperback book on Amazon, click here, and then that sends them to Amazon to get the paperback, Kindle, or audiobook if you have all 3 of those. And you'd be surprised, like it's like, maybe not you, but like people in general would be surprised that even though you gave them a free PDF and they already have the content, like it's just more pleasurable to listen to it or to read a paperback or use a Kindle than it is to scroll through a PDF on your computer.
Interesting.
So it actually does not decline sales. If anything, it ups sales. And the next best thing about that is, too, then they're on your email list.
Exactly.
You do it directly to Amazon every time. You don't get the customer's information. And then last thing I'll just like kind of say on that is, then if you have a funnel, another funnel on the back end, like a webinar funnel, you can lead that person into that. So if your book, like let's just be very, I guess, generic, like how to make more money, let's just say.
Yeah.
How to make more money, then they get the PDF. And then on that thank you page, if you have a webinar funnel set up, you could be like, great, join the community. Step 2, check out my 1-hour free live training on how to make money that dives even in deeper depths than the book or something. And then they would go there to the webinar, and then they could potentially become a client for your consulting or a membership program.
Now, that funnel starts at the end of the book, right?
After they read it?
That's in the book, right? the webinar or something?
Yeah, it can be in the book, but it could also be right on the thank you page.
Yeah, okay.
After they download the PDF, or it could also be in the email sequence, right? So maybe it's like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, okay.
And it's like, hey, hope you're enjoying the book. By the way, I'm putting on this webinar.
Awesome. So you set up this whole funnel for your clients.
Yeah, so I'd say those are the two biggest new things. Yeah.
And so you're doing, for example, Facebook ads to the PDF, and then on that page, thank you page, then you have the print book and the Kindle book.
An Amazon link so that they can get it on Amazon, and then a link to the Facebook group. And then if we have their other funnels set, once we have their back-end funnels set up, whether it's a case study funnel, webinar funnel, or there's multiple, then we also will have a step 3 where we send them there.
That's interesting because most people think you have to have one book for free and then that leads them to the next book, but you're using the same book for the whole funnel.
Yeah, and I mean, you technically could, right? Like, so, okay, so then the other option is this, because some of our clients are just like, no, I will not give away the book for free. Right? So then you can do the model where you just give away the first 3 chapters.
Right.
But we do see a decline in conversions. Like on the pages we build, we see about a 40% conversion rate on the homepage, right? To download a full free PDF copy of the book, which is fairly high. 40% is great, but then when you go, I don't even actually know the percentage for the first 3 chapters. I'd have to look at some of our clients' numbers, but it's lower. It's not nearly as high because like 3 chapters, it's just not as valuable, you know.
Yeah, interesting. So and you're using Facebook ads. How are those working?
Those are working great. Yeah, I mean, we just find depending on the client, we figure out the targeting. I mean, I have a Facebook ad team that like does this, right? So. I'm not personally doing it, and then I have a design team that does it as well. But I built like the strategy, and then now I have.
Interesting. I wanted to ask you if you're using like carousel ads or video ads or just image ads.
Depend on the author. So for video, that depends on the author. Like if an author is willing to shoot a video for us, 100%, like we will use it.
Okay.
But really, it's mostly image ads. And it'll be like a picture of the author with their book on the image as well.
Okay,
them. And then we use that, and then some copy up top. And then carousel, we have used those as well. But really just the image or video seem to work the best. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm always willing to do a deep dive on those Facebook ads. I'm really into them. So, and then... Okay, so then I also saw, in the Better Business book, and I've been with you for a while, and you also do some influencer outreach, and I saw you got Huffington Post articles. How do you do that? How do you get those?
Yeah, great question. So, so all of those actually kind of came by chance. That's what's interesting, right? So I was featured in Inc. and Huffington Post, and then been featured in some other ones as well. But the Inc. one ended up being somebody that was in, or actually that interviewed me on his radio show like 4 years ago, and I didn't even know he was an Inc. columnist. And then he ended up doing a write-up on me and my book like 2 weeks after and sent it to me, and I was like, oh, that's
nice. Cool. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like that was a surprise. And then the Huffington Post article was actually a woman who DM'd me on Instagram, and she was just like, hey, like I've been following you for a while. I love what you're doing. She's like, I'm an editor. I'd love to write an article on you. And she didn't even say like what it was for or anything. She's just like, can you send me some more, like a bio and some stuff about you? I kind of already know a lot, but like just send me some stuff. And sent it over, and she ended up writing an article, and she ended up being a writer for the Huffington Post.
Nice.
Yeah, so I didn't, again, both of these times I had no clue. But now you can be more strategic, right? So there are like companies, like PR companies that we'll use to help our authors get featured. So we'll have somebody from my team will write the press release. Then we use another company that releases it out into the marketplace to see who, like what sites will pick it up. And sometimes we get featured in some like news sites. Like our last one was featured on Yahoo.
Interesting. Nice.
Yeah, so you can do things like that too.
And you're using Instagram now?
Yeah, I use Instagram as much as I humanly can with the time I have available.
So what's your platform of choice then? The one you use the most for?
I'd say, well, Facebook for paid advertising.
Okay.
I'd say okay, so it's actually three, right? So
Yeah.
just to be transparent. So Facebook for paid, Instagram for like organic and like brand, I'd
Right.
say.
Right.
And then like LinkedIn is actually probably what we use the most, at least for like getting people on my podcast and
Huh.
generating leads.
Interesting.
I just upgraded to the Sales Navigator
Hmm.
on LinkedIn, and it has a lot of features. And I think people underutilize LinkedIn. It's pretty big. So yeah, those are my top three.
Yeah, but you have the what do you call it? The paid version of LinkedIn.
Yeah, well, even I just actually started that. So even before we were crushing it with LinkedIn, but
Huh.
then what happens is with all the outreach and like everything we're doing, like they actually kind of they don't force you, but they kind of force you to upgrade to the
Yeah,
Navigator.
they're
Yeah,
really good at that. They're real sticky.
yeah, well, kind of every platform has their thing, right? So
Yeah.
Facebook,
Yeah.
what they did, right, is they dropped their organic reach to like nothing, pretty much. Like, hey,
I
yeah,
I like LinkedIn, but the thing is, it's just too much. I've got Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook, and I just trying to keep it down to three. And so now I'm thinking of like Instagram, and maybe I'm more visual, so I'm really into Pinterest, but Instagram is also visual. But I've had good results with LinkedIn too. But man, I don't want to do 5 platforms. So
tell me.
maybe,
I'm actually curious if you don't mind sharing, because we're just like kind of chatting. Like,
of
have you
course.
gotten results? Have you gotten results on Pinterest?
Oh yeah, yeah. Pinterest is real good because I'm really into graphics, so I can whip out some graphics really fast. And what I like to do now is make some graphics that go to a survey, and in the survey, at the end of the survey, it's, oh, you won a book. And so because I'm having a real tough time building an email list for children's books, because kids, they don't have emails, right?
Yep.
So you have to go even lower resistance and lower resistance. So if you do a survey, the Ask method from Ryan Levesque.
Yes.
Very good, very good. So that's basically what I'm doing, and so the survey is built so that a kid can go through it and have fun answering questions about aliens or Blade Runner or movies, and it's interactive, and they can leave their email or not. So it kind of warms them up. They come in through the funnel cold in the survey, and then towards the end they're lukewarm, let's say. And so if I don't get the email from them, at least I'll get the information for the ask method. So it's kind of a win-win method, and I haven't gotten any real viral stuff going on Pinterest, but even without all of the tools, it's really good. You can also make a Pinterest pin straight to a landing page. And the thing about Pinterest is it is the most shared platform out there. So the thing is, if you've heard of Board Booster was this automation that would repin your pins for you, and Board Booster just got closed down. So
Awesome.
they're not an approved partner. So I'm looking at other things like Tailwind and stuff. So Pinterest really has potential. And I haven't even done a deep dive on it yet. I'm just kind of starting. And but yeah, it's definitely worth a look. But because they just turned off Board Booster, kicked them out basically. Now that's why I'm looking at Instagram, because they're also very visual. And
Got it.
so yeah, if you go to SumoMe or sumo.com, they have a lot of these case studies, and Pinterest actually beats all other platforms except Facebook for shares.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very visual, so it's made for sharing. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, see, I haven't dabbled in Pinterest at all because I'm kind of like you. Like, I have my
Yeah.
three platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
Instagram. So
Yeah.
just to even think to like try to figure out Pinterest right now is just not on my radar.
Yeah. 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 And what about Twitter?
I'm on it, but I don't like.
Yeah.
we could use it more. How I see Twitter is more for like communicating with people.
Yeah.
I don't really see it as like a platform that, or I mean, it can be, but I think it's very difficult because all the noise on the platform. But it's very difficult to like write a tweet and then have it like viewed and shared a bunch of times, unless you're like Taylor Swift or something.
Yeah. See, that's the thing about Pinterest. There's this thing, they're calling it the half-life. The half-life of a Pinterest pin is like 30 days. And so, yeah, you get a lot for your time. There's what do you call it? A lot of bang for your buck, the Pareto thing. And
I'll have to look into it.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, like I'm going to do either Instagram or LinkedIn, but not both. So I'll probably try Instagram next. And
Ooh, that's tough, man. I would do both, dude.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. I love both so much. They're so dear to my heart.
Okay. Well, man, we can go on a lot of deep dives here. But how is your Better Business book going?
Yeah, that's going great. So we actually just finalized, or not finalized the book yet, but it just went off to the editor. We got all 100 chapters in for the 4th volume.
Nice.
So yeah, we're on the 4th volume. So that's 400 people now that are almost right. Like once we launch it, then 400 people through the program. So far, technically 300. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a very like group activity, and I think for people that are kind of just starting out in the space, it's a nice like prerequisite to doing your own book.
I can vouch for that. I think I was by the very first Better Business book, and I loved it. It was great working with your guys, your team, your editor, and it was a great experience. And I was really happy about it, and I can vouch for that to anybody out there listening. It's really worth a try, especially like you said, if you're a newbie author, it's perfect. It's perfect because you don't have to do the whole book.
Yeah, exactly. And then you learn the process too. And I think it also helps, like, writing a book for the first time is scary. So when you're with 99 others and you only have to write one chapter, kind of takes the edge off a little bit.
Yeah. When's it coming out?
So the editing is going to take another month. So a month, it'll probably be like end of August, early September.
Okay.
So
I'm writing it down. Okay, the last time I talked to you were really crushing it with the podcasts, and I see them in medium.com. So why did you start the podcast? Tell us about your process.
Yeah, I'll tell you about the process. So what's interesting is and I think this is with anything, right? Like, I think the biggest thing, and same thing with writing a book, is like just getting started. You know what I mean? And then like you end up pivoting and you end up seeing things that you didn't see at first, and you end up realizing things. So why did I start the podcast? It was actually just out of me wanting to connect with more people and have fun.
Right.
Like in my business, I have pretty much like the back end of my business is pretty well outsourced. So once we like onboard a client, like I don't really have to do much more work. Like it's just taken care of, Okay. So, and so I'm like, I had free time, and I'm starting to think, I'm like, well, I want to keep growing this. So I'm like, what can I do now? What do I enjoy doing? And I love doing things like this podcast.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to start a podcast just to try. Like, let's see what happens.
Okay.
So I started it. It's called The Business Blast. And basically it's short, like 5 to 10 minute interviews. And I basically ask the people, everybody gets asked the same question. It's 8 questions. And basically the premise is like straight value, no fluff, and very short time. So it's like, what's your number one piece of business advice? Like that's one of the questions.
Right. And
I ask questions like that. So it's going very well. And then what started to happen is I started to get more and more customers from the podcast because I would interview them. And then after the interview, like I would share it on my end, they would share it on their end. So it would tap into their audience, they would tap into my audience. So there's a win-win. Yep. But then like what would also happen is the person would then realize like, oh, like I've been wanting to write a book, or like I've been wanting to get a sales funnel or something. And they realize that my company offers that. Then they reach back out to me and they're like, hey, I loved being on your show. Now that we're connected, like, they feel more comfortable at that point to work with you, because in my opinion, like typically you end up working with people that you feel comfortable with,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So like, and again, this was not like any like mastermind like plan. It just started to happen.
Cool.
And then once it started to happen, then I started to realize, and then that's when when the LinkedIn comes into play. So I think I actually said this in the beginning, like, intertwining what you love to do, and then having that be like your job or what your companies. So I love interviewing people. So people think I'm crazy, but now I've actually interviewed people 3 days a week, and I do about 50 to 60 interviews a week.
Nice. So you got this kind of upward spiral, this virtuous cycle going where everything, win-win, everything supports each other. Yeah. That's pretty nice. What have you noticed? Welcome to the middle of the podcast. You are listening to Zbooks.co Successful Authors Podcast. Remember to get all of your materials to start your authoring career, especially for beginners, at Zbooks.co. Thank you for listening, my friends, and let's get back to that podcast. Any like SEO or any other positives, more sales, more hits to your website, whatever?
Definitely. So like I can't fully attest to like SEO because I actually personally, like, SEO is one thing that I am not like a master of.
Right.
It's like the next thing that is on my radar to really get going.
Yeah.
But because a lot of people will put the podcast on their website.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that is having, a positive effect on it.
Right.
Definitely getting more traffic just from people sharing the podcast.
Okay.
And then sales, definitely. That's what I noticed first, obviously, as I think most people would, right? It's like, oh, okay, our numbers are going way up. Like, this is a good thing.
Interesting. Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely. Because, right, so I've been doing it for 5 months. I almost have 500 interviews under my belt now.
Wow. 500?
Yeah, 500 in 5 months. I think I'm at like 480 something now.
Wow.
And it's going to keep going more and more now, because before I was only doing like 20 a week, and then I would do like 30 a week and now I'm about to start doing like 60 a week.
Dang.
And I really, so again, like the reason I'm doing it is because I really, really like it. And it just so happens that it is also producing more revenue.
And you're a crusher. You did conference crushing, and now you're podcast crushing.
Yeah, I know. I put out another book, Podcast Crushing.
Nice.
I always do things to the extremes, it seems to me.
Well, I call it deep dive. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, maybe that's what you should do, right? Go run deep or whatever you call it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's just like, again, people are just like 60 a week. Like, that's insane. And I'm
that
like,
is.
But I really enjoy it. So that's what
you're beating John Lee Dumas.
Dude, in the back of my mind now, just because I'm already at like almost 500, I actually do have in my mind, I'm like, I wonder, like, if I do this for like 10, 20, whatever, how many years, like, could I hit the Guinness Book of World Records for the most interviews ever?
That'd be pretty cool.
That could be interesting. So I don't know.
Yeah, I love podcasts too. And but we keep mentioning LinkedIn. Do you have any tips for LinkedIn?
I do. So whether you have Sales Navigator or not, like, eventually if you want to like scale at this level, you will need to get it.
Okay.
But even with there's a tool that I use called Meet Leonard, and
what's it called?
Meet Leonard. Have you heard of it?
No, I've heard Meet Edgar.
Oh, this is called Meet Leonard.
Seriously, because I thought it was Meet Edgar. Okay, I got it.
Well, maybe there is one, Meet Edgar. I'm not sure. But Meet Leonard kind of automates it. So, like, we know the types of people we want to have on the show. Like, I like to have, like, authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, even, like, other podcasters I like to have on.
Right.
Like, that's kind of the people we like to interview. So with Meet Leonard, what you can do is basically target those people that have it in their job title on LinkedIn. And reach out to them in whether it's an in-mail or a connection request. You can reach out to them and be like, hey, notice that you are an author, would love to have you on my show, the Business Blast Podcast. If interested, check it out here. And if you'd like to book a time, feel free to book it here. And
interesting.
We do that pretty much daily, and then that fills up my calendar. And then, I mean, that's pretty much how it works. But the thing is, why you end up having to upgrade to Sales Navigator, because on the basic version of LinkedIn, you can only send out so many messages before they like stop you from.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where the upgrade comes in.
So it's a 1-2 punch.
Yeah. So it worked free for a while, and then you gotta pay. Pay to play. Maybe
how much is Meet Leonard?
Meet Leonard, we have the full enterprise version, so it goes from like, I think they have 4 plans for free, $9.99, $19.99, and $29.99. So we're paying the 20, and it's $29, so $30 a month.
Okay,
that's what we're paying, and then Sales Navigator, if you pay monthly and not the yearly up front, it's like $75 a month. So basically, $100 a month to run the LinkedIn operation.
So you got to be serious about LinkedIn before you get the Sales Navigator.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you got to know how to use it. But I'm telling you, I mean, think about this, right? So like, so let's say $100, because that's what it is. So that's $1,200 a year. But even if I were to get only one client from it, that would pay for itself.
Okay.
So I just think about it like that, and it's by far the best way to get people on your podcast, because it's the like professional, at least that I found, because it's like, that's what it's there for. Like, your LinkedIn profile is basically to show off what your work credentials are.
Yeah.
So if you want to find like successful authors to interview, then LinkedIn all you got to do is look up authors, check out their profiles, and it's very easy to see, who successful authors are,
Yeah, interesting. So that fits in with your podcast process. So then walk us through the process again. So you're using LinkedIn, Meet Leonard, and Sales Navigator to get your guests, and then what else are you doing?
Yeah, so basically, so they'll come on the show, and then I have a follow-up email that I send.
Okay.
I have a follow-up email that I send to them, and I say, like, thanks for being on the show. Here's your link, because our podcast is on like iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and like a bunch of other platforms. So we send that to them, and then I ask if they have 3 people that they think could be a good fit for the show. And then sometimes people will share 3 people that would be a good fit to have them on. And then another thing that I do is basically explain like what my company does. And I give them access to a free membership portal that basically teaches people how to become a successful author and grow their business online. And if they would like, they have the opportunity to schedule a follow-up call with myself or somebody from my sales team to discuss how we can then help them. Now, I just want to say this. In the beginning, we weren't doing that, right? Because that was not like that. I didn't think that the podcast would necessarily be driving a bunch of business. I was just doing it like out of kind of like the fun of it.
Right.
And then we noticed that. Then on the back end, we were like, you know what? A lot of the people we're interviewing could actually use our help and our services. So, not in a pushy way. We just want to be like, hey, listen, this is what we do. If you're interested, you can hop on a free call and we can discuss it. So that's how we kind of lay out the process.
Well, the most empowering words in the English language are, it's just an experiment. Yeah, just go for it,
Yeah.
So how about some beginner questions about podcasts? What's the best platform? What's the best devices? What are you using?
So I use Anchor.
Okay.
So it's anchor.fm is the website. It's 100% free.
Okay.
It makes so easy to record, to post. It is it's the easiest I've ever seen. So I mean, because if you think about it, right? Like if I'm doing 60 a week, even though they're only 5 minutes, that would still be a lot of work as far as like
and it's free? It's totally free?
Yeah, it's free. So
but do they spread it to like Google Play and iTunes?
Yeah, and they are the ones that basically get you connected. Yeah, they spread it. You post it through Anchor, and then it automatically publishes on all the other platforms.
Wow, because I'm using Podomatic, and they're like $9 a month because they have all of these gigabyte, restrictions. So if you want to go like as much as you would have to do their plan $9, $15, $20 a month or something. That's crazy. Anchor.fm, totally free, huh?
Yep, totally free. I highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Maybe I'll switch over. That's awesome.
It's freaking awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, but I can't believe that you can do as many. There's no gigabyte restrictions?
No gigabyte restriction, nope.
Wow. And they publish to iTunes and wow. It sounds
Yeah.
too good to be true. And you know how that saying goes, huh?
Yeah, I know. Yo, I know. I'm waiting for them to hit me up and be like, guess what? You owe us money. But
Yeah.
hopefully, no, they said they'll be free. I think I remember reading some article where they're like, we will always be free.
Huh.
And again, so what their actual model is. So okay, the one thing is at the end of every episode, there is like a sponsor audio,
Aha.
like to Anchor.
Okay.
So that's one thing, right? And I think that's mandatory. At least I haven't
Yeah.
figured out how to turn it off.
Okay.
So, and who knows? Maybe they're expanding right now, and then they'll start to like charge later,
Exactly. The freemium model, and then later on.
or maybe it's just an advertising play, right? Because if you can get that many people on board, then they could start to advertise on the site and start to advertise on the mobile app.
Yeah.
So I don't know, a couple different options.
I'm going to check them out. What about your devices and microphones and stuff?
Okay, so for all the podcasters out there listening to this, they're going to hate me, but I honestly don't even use a mic. I use my computer, and you can record it with Anchor as well. Like everything is done inside Anchor.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's all done inside Anchor. So I hit record, and then I'm on Skype or Zoom, depending on the person's preference. And
Right.
then we talk through there. It records through Anchor. I hit stop. Then I copy and paste the description that the interviewee gives me. Put that into the show notes, press publish, and then within a day, it's on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and like 10 other platforms.
That's too good to be true, because you might have just solved my podcasting problems with my audio recorder, my MP3 Skype recorder, and all that. So you're saying Anchor also records
Yes.
people, and do they log in to Anchor?
Nope, they don't have to log in. It can all be done on your end.
Wow. They're going to charge sooner or later. Those guys are going to charge because, Okay. So, and you're just using like the microphone for your cell phone or your smartphone or something.
No, just through my computer. You can actually use Anchor. Like, so if it's through the computer, they do not need to sign in or have Anchor. But if you can also get them to sign in, then you could call them through Anchor, and then you can record it through your phone. But I find that to be more difficult because sometimes people have trouble downloading the app and all that.
Exactly.
Stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
doing it through your computer is just easier.
Yeah. Man. Wow. That's some good news, man. So, all right. Moving along. If you had to start all over again, what would you do differently?
So yeah, I like this question. It's kind of it's a question. It's similar to a question that I asked my guests. Is like if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be? That's
right.
a question I asked. And it's weird. So there's two ways to look at it. It's like one way is like I wouldn't change anything, right? Which I'm sure you've gotten that answer, because if I did change something, then maybe I wouldn't be where I am today. Like
right.
So that's one side. I guess the other side would be like, I don't know. I guess start earlier, which is again probably a common answer. But like I don't regret all the like fun and partying I did when I was younger. But I do think that like obviously if I had started younger with social media, and that's every day now, because as these platforms get more and more filled, it's only going to get harder and harder to get shown and get more exposure. So if I had started on YouTube, you know what I mean, like 10 years ago, then like obviously that would have been better. So
okay.
I would say that.
I remember last time we talked, you were talking about Alan Watts. Do you have some kind of spiritual guidance, or because it seems like you're such a positive person? When I ask this question, I know that there's nothing's going to come up. Like there's nothing to regret. So.
Yeah. I am definitely. I'd say I'm spiritual. I mean, Alan Watts is like I have, you can have two types of mentors, like the ones that are actually physically there and like you talk to, and then the ones that are like afar. And I'd say as I've grown with business and my like personal self, I've narrowed that down. And Alan Watts, as far as personal development, is like my guy.
Yeah.
That's who I follow. And then in business, it's like Gary Vaynerchuk and Tim.
Okay. Ferriss. Nice. So yeah, it sounds like you got some good focus going. You got just a few platforms. Some people like have teams that just blast out all the platforms. So you've got LinkedIn, Instagram, email, and podcasts. And it sounds like you're going really deep with that and really crushing it on your Authors Unite platform. And I'm happy for you. So my new favorite question is, which question should be people asking you but are not?
Yeah, so I think that the question should be is like, how do you, and I don't even know how to word it, it's asked in many different ways, but it's like, how do you get like paid for what you love to do? Or like, how do you actually figure out how do you figure out the intertwine that I've brought up multiple times in this, having fun and loving what you do and also making that be what provides you financially? And I think that is actually one of the biggest questions for people, and I think a lot of people struggle with it because if you think of the way society is set up, it's like you work to make money to then do things that you like. But what if the whole thing was what you like, and that's like a whole nother, that's like a paradigm shift. It's like, oh, wow, like I didn't know that like I could make money doing what I like even, some people don't even like realize that.
Nice.
I think that's a question, and what my answer to would be, and I think we've kind of touched on it in this interview, is like experience. And like Gary Vaynerchuk kind of says it a lot, it's like taking action and like just starting to become aware when you do things, how you feel. So for me, the podcast was an actual result of that, because I noticed with Authors Unite and running the business, I noticed things that I did not enjoy doing in the business, and I noticed things that I loved. Some of the things I loved is I loved talking to people. I loved having strategy sessions with them. I loved actually doing sales. Like I don't mind doing sales. And what I didn't like was like the back end stuff, like the nitty gritty, like detailed work.
Yeah. So what did you do? Did you just get rid of it or subcontract it?
I hired an assistant.
There you go.
Assistant, that opened me up dramatically. And then now I can do the podcast 60 times a week, which for some people that would be like hell. You know what I mean? Like that much interaction would be terrible. Like they would like have a terrible time. For me, when I do that, my endorphins, even right now during this interview, I realize like I can feel the endorphins in my head because I'm getting to connect with you and interact, and that's what I enjoy doing. Whereas, put me in a room by myself for a couple hours and you have a pretty sad little Tyler.
Well, that's the upward spiral. Stay on your power curve. What's the other one? The virtuous cycle. There's so many names for it, but sounds really good. Sounds like you're on the power wave or whatever, and I like it. So, okay, the Better Business book is coming out next month, or maybe beginning of September. What else? What's on the horizon for you? I mean, you're obviously doing a lot, and you're 10xing it. I'm loving it. But what else is on the horizon for you?
Yeah, so I guess the real 10x. I mean, we're growing Authors Unite, and the next book's coming out. But I'm actually starting, I think I mentioned in the beginning, a media company. So my last name's Wagner. I'm going to go with Wags Media.
Okay.
It's fun, and that's actually where we are. Going to be doing like all sorts of business related services like funnels and Facebook ads, and they're not all geared towards authors, so it could be like any online business.
Okay.
We're expanding in that direction, and wagsmedia.com should be launched in like a few weeks, so I'm excited.
Interesting. Nice. Okay, so new company coming up, huh?
Yep. Yeah, new company, and Authors Unite's still like the main focus, but like I started to realize that like we can also service people that are not authors. So
exactly.
I felt like I was limiting myself a little, and I don't like limits.
Yeah, there you go. That is just awesome. I don't like limits. That's okay. Then last question, where can we find you now?
Yeah, so I'd say authorsunite.com is definitely the best place. And then if you want to reach me directly, if you have any questions, Tyler@authorsunite.com is perfect.
Okay, I'm going to give you a new name, right? Tyler, I don't like limits, Wagner.
Yes, I like it.
I love it. All right, man. It's always good talking to you, Tyler. Thanks again for coming on.
You too, man. I appreciate it.
All right. authorsunite.com, right?
Yep, that's great.
Okay, see you at the top.
All right, see you there.
Okay, my friends, if you like that podcast, then remember to go to zbooks.co and go get all the materials to start your authoring career. We have a 7-day challenge every week, so there's no excuse to not finish your book. And remember, please go to iTunes and upvote this podcast and Google Play. Okay, I look forward to seeing you at the top.